Hello.
Hello, Ben. What are we doing?
Well, we're doing Star Wars, aren't we? We did it.
Does it
We
annoy you when I
No, it
do that?
doesn't. No, I
Oh,
like it.
okay, fair enough.
Um, I yeah, we did A New Hope last week, didn't we?
We did.
So we're doing Empire Strikes Back this time.
We are.
Yes, and I just want to get ahead of this. Last time we went on a bit longer than usual because we ended up recapping the entire events of the film. I want to try and avoid that this time.
I would like to as
Yeah,
well. It was
fair
a lot of,
dues.
we basically did the entire runtime of a film
We
last time.
we practically did, yeah. So,
Yeah,
what did you make of it?
I like the film.
I like the film too. I think it's better than the first one.
All right, then. Well, thank you for joining us, everybody,
We
and
did it. We
we
did it.
will
That really was
we will
shorter than the first one.
catch you next week. Yeah, I got all those pictures for nothing. All right, then. Bye.
Bye. Yes.
I'm only joking.
I bloody hope so.
Yeah,
Um. Yes.
you're gonna leave that gap in entirely, right?
Yeah. I
Okay, cool.
I can't be fucking asked to edit. I've been doing it all fucking day.
It's not my fault.
Mm, right. Yes. As I I didn't make notes. I just watched the film.
Honest.
Maybe you
What a
wanna
liability.
maybe you wanna start and I'll chip in. I've got a few things I want to say, but we'll see.
Okay, so the whole premise of this film is that the rebels managed to successfully blow up the Death Star last film, but actually the Empire's a bit stronger than we thought, and one space station blowing up doesn't actually stop them. So now the rebels are sort of on the back foot. They're hiding again. Darth Vader's specifically trying to get Luke Skywalker,
Hmm.
but any sort of rebel wiping out is good
Well,
as far as he's concerned.
as we discussed in the video that's not yet been uploaded, um, you made a point, and I have thought this too, that A New Hope was sort of like it could be very self-contained with a few edits. So you've
Yeah,
got
yeah, yeah.
the evil threat is destroyed, good guys win happily ever after, and then you've got
Bingo,
Empire Strikes
conga,
Back that sort
conga.
of comes out and is, oh, actually, this no, you scored a massive victory, but A, the battle's not over, and B, now the Empire are really fucking gunning for you. So they're
Yeah,
on the back
because
foot for basically this entire film,
yeah, absolutely.
which is really
Right, we don't see very many rebels
no,
during
we
this film.
don't. It's I mean the entire it occurred to me at the end the entire film is basically Han, Leia, and Chewie and C-3PO trying to regroup with the people they left right at the start,
Yeah, whilst
and everything is
Luke's
going
going
wrong.
about doing his thing.
Yes, I mean that whole rebellion on the back foot is sort of perfectly summarized by the Millennium Falcon and its passengers' condition throughout the film. In that it's
Yeah.
broken and we can't get the hyperdrive thing running, and they're right behind us, the Empire right behind us, and
Oh, just you wait. If you like that feeling, just you wait.
Han needs to use every trick in his box to get out of it. It's a really good Han film.
Well, it was he wanted it to be his last one, didn't he?
Well, yes, famously Harrison Ford wanted to be killed off, and the writer Lawrence Kasdan, who did the screenplay, agreed that one of them should die.
Hmm.
I'm not sure I do yet. I don't know. I'm not sure. I don't think Han's arc is complete because he's still
Well, I
very
mean,
much.
you know it's not.
Well, he's still well. I guess. I mean, I can't really remember a lot of Return of the Jedi, and I think he spends a lot of time doing nothing in that film. But he's still planning on leaving the rebellion as soon as he's gotten out of this fix.
Well, I mean, you say that, but the talk about paying off Jabba,
Yeah,
he didn't actually say he wasn't coming back. It was just I need to go and sort this out.
that's true. That's true.
And they're like, yeah, fine, we get that. It's not easy living with a death mark. I think is the line. He gets it. So
Yeah,
I don't necessarily think that he was abandoning the
I
rebellion. He was just doing in anything. If anything, he was making it easier for him to work with the rebellion going forwards.
I think it's presented in the sense that he is abandoned. He is going. As far as he's concerned, he's done his bit. He's got this thing. It's time for him to go now. He's stayed longer than he should. That's how I
You see, I
read it.
I feel like Leia thinks he won't come back,
Uh,
and that's why we're presented that because it's all pretty much everything that we have with regards to that is those two their interaction, right? We don't have an awful lot of Han and Luke, despite the fact that Han saves his life.
mm,
It's mostly Han and Leia, and she's like, "Well, when it's done, you're gone, aren't you?" Because that's what she's used to from how he was in A New Hope,
but he
and
came.
presumably the 3 odd
Well,
years since.
Yeah. I mean, it's clear
But
time
he
has
was
passed.
going to go, wasn't he?
Yeah. Yeah. Um, yes. Um, yeah. I don't really know where to go next. I guess.
I've got questions.
Yeah. Go on.
Um, the title crawl
Yeah.
says that Luke was in charge of these rebels.
I noted that too.
Why? Why Luke?
Well, he's not, is he?
Well, no, but it says say that he was leading them.
I know.
Okay, so the title crawl's lied to us, but
Yeah.
also
There's a.
assuming that the title crawl hasn't and there's nuance to it, why is it only Han that cares about finding their supposed leader?
I know. There's a general there. I saw that in the
Yeah,
title card and was like, oh, hang on, I didn't. That's weird that he's now leader. That's not how. I want to say right at this point. I watching Empire. I realized this is the one I probably watched the least as a kid. Um, I think I liked the tone of A New Hope, and I liked all the Jabba the Hutt stuff in the third one. So this is the one I watched the least, and I didn't remember
you
that
just
bit.
like Slave Leia in the bikini. Don't
No,
lie,
I like the
you
Ewoks. I
pervert.
like the Ewoks, but for exactly
Because you're
this,
a furry.
for exactly the same reason. But anyway, um, yeah, I saw that as well, and I noted it. But he's clearly not.
Yeah.
He's clearly not.
He doesn't seem that way, does it? Okay, fine, he's rogue leader, right?
Yeah,
But
he's a
you know,
commander, isn't he? He's not.
yeah,
I mean, there's a general there, and Leia's there. You can assume that she's pretty fucking senior.
yeah. And she's very much
Mm.
goes down with the ship, isn't she? Throughout
Mm.
all of this.
Oh yeah, right at the end, she's like one of the last handful of people in Echo Base.
Yeah, she's giving orders while Han's like, look, you
Mm.
need to get the fuck out of here.
Mm.
So I don't know. I did also like the fact that we actually saw some real force power use
Yes.
throughout this film. Now, yeah, okay, fine, we get the thing where Obi-Wan makes the noise, and we get him use the force mind trick thing, right?
Yeah.
But they're less obvious force powers, aren't they? It's less obvious to actually see them at work.
Mm.
Whereas seeing a fucking lightsaber fly into someone's hand and the flipping the switch with the lightsaber, now that's real force use.
Yeah.
I feel like that's
I
throwing
did
shit
see
around,
that and thought, where did Luke learn to do that?
well,
I mean,
he
presumably
hasn't, has he?
Obi-Wan. Was moving stuff with your mind ever used in the first one? I don't know.
No.
I can't. No.
I mean, you say that. I say no. We don't know how exactly Obi-Wan made that noise when he was distracting those two stormtroopers.
Yeah.
It may be that he moved something,
Yeah.
and that's what made the noise, right? But we don't see it, so it's hard to be entirely
It's
sure.
not really established.
No, exactly. So that's why I don't consider it on the same par as the shit that we saw.
I'd like to take a moment to I guess I just want to talk about the pacing because there's two main stories for the bulk of this film. It's Luke's and the others, and I noted this a number of occasions. It cut from one to the other, and it was I didn't stay with a story long enough to be bored by it. The film knew when to switch.
At the same time, it make it hard to keep track of how long stuff's taking.
Yes, that's another thing I noted because it feels like Luke is on Dagobah for longer than Han and whoever are dealing with their shit.
Yeah, like it's the whole thing supposedly a few weeks.
I guess.
Well, no, that's supposedly the whole thing's.
I
haven't got receipts for it. It's just that's what the general consensus.
Yeah, I see. Luke on Dagobah feels to me a few weeks, but the other one feels like a matter of days. So
but that's because you're forgetting about how long it's going to take them to get somewhere and not using hyperspeed.
Yeah, but the way it's sort of structured, it just sort of.
Yeah. It doesn't. It's hard to keep track of the actual time.
Darth Vader in this film, incidentally, first appearance of the Imperial March.
He's shiny, isn't he?
Well, yes, he's also pretty pissed off, and I kind of like that because in the first film we had disagreements over this Darth Vader's sort of position, and it may just be because he was surrounded by more senior figures, but it felt like he was like the chief heavy, sort of half and half senior, half the guy you send out to fuck shit up. In this one, it's pretty clear, really good. I suppose visual storytelling. Everybody's fucking terrified of him. Presumably,
especially Pierre.
Yes, he everybody sort of watching him out the corner of their eye and on edge, and you can tell this is a pretty abusive workspace.
Yeah.
It feels to me,
So many Battlefield promotions.
yes, it feels to me like he's pissed off that the Death Star was destroyed. He's pissed off that he was bested. The Emperor probably ripped him a new one. You know, he probably humiliated.
What the hell's an aluminum falcon?
It's a good way to convey um, the change in circumstances over that period of time.
Yeah, yeah.
I really liked it.
We obviously see into his helmet for the first time intentionally.
Yes, I wonder whether
Because
he invited the guy in, knowing he
who
would
knows?
see him as like a power move,
Did he invite him in?
or did
Or did
I
he...
don't know whether the guy came in with news.
I feel
I
like
don't
he
know.
was coming in with news, but I might be misremembering.
Well,
It's such a small scene in the grand scheme of things.
well, he was, but I don't know whether the guy radioed through and said, I've got an update for you." It was like, "Come in and discuss it."
Yeah.
Yeah.
Also, say what you would about the Empire, but they do make sure to have terrain-specific armor for the stormtroopers.
Yes. Yes.
You know, they did not spare any of the budget on the design of the armor. They might have spared it on the efficiency of the armor.
Well, you know why that is, don't you?
Mass production.
So George Lucas can sell some fucking toys.
Damn straight.
You got every kid wants a fucking snow trooper this year for Christmas.
That's why we've got 18 pod races.
Yeah.
No one wants Ben Quadrinero, but you know, you gotta make it anyway.
Merchandise the fuck out of this shit.
Gazgano, complete your set.
Yes.
Anyway, Luke ends up on Dagobah.
Yeah,
Meets Yoda.
I really like Yoda, and when he was obviously I know it's Yoda, right? I know that's the Jedi Master he seeks, and Yoda's doing his thing where he's being all weird and childish and annoying deliberately to get a handle on the sort of guy Luke is.
Yep.
But watching it back, I thought, you know what? If I was in the cinema in 1983 or whenever this came out, or 1980, I can see myself and other people maybe thinking, you know what? This is just a comedy, comic relief character, and we are
You
gonna.
see, I literally wrote. I wonder if when first released, people knew Yoda was Yoda.
Yeah, I can absolutely see people doing that because it works perfectly, and his switch is great. And all the... Sorry, go on. No, you go on. You go on.
I do wonder, based on the fact that this is part 5 of a series, whether R2 and Yoda recognised each other. Because for all we know, R2's dudes were like, "Luke, fucking listen to me right now. This is Yoda. He's pulling your leg."
That's
and Yoda's like, "Shut the fuck up, droid." You know.
I honestly don't know because we've established Luke can understand R2D2.
Did he say that? But he can when it's on the screen, right? But he while they land, he's like, I don't know if what you're telling me is it was a mistake to come here, and I think I agree. And he says that to R2 when right after he's been attacked by that swamp thing and spat out.
I think it's one of those things we're not meant to think about. It works when it works because the script says it does.
We have to suspend the belief because of the fact that they've released out of order. I get that. I'm fine with that.
Well, just in general,
it's a curiosity thing.
Yeah, you know? I don't know. I don't fucking know.
I'd like to think that because there's people who reckon that Obi-Wan was toying around when R2 when he said he didn't remember owning a droid. Now, obviously, you know, he didn't technically own R2, but they're definitely familiar with each other, aren't they? You know, he'd recognised of all the droids that he's experienced in his life, he's gonna remember R2D.
Yeah.
So I think there's a lot of playing around going on, especially when you consider the fact that Yoda is definitely playing around for most of that scene.
Well, you see, it wasn't. I mean, as you said, the prequels were written and released obviously after the original trilogy, so it wasn't written with the intention that Obi-Wan is lying. R2D2 was just meant to be a droid that Princess Leia has access to, and that was the only thing she could think of in that moment to do. You know, it raises a lot of plot holes with the prequels and all of this stuff. Like people don't recognize these droids when they absolutely should.
I feel like perhaps just looking back at the Obi-Wan situation, it is an indication of how old he is that he has forgotten owning the droid.
I
It
think
was such a long time ago. I think in terms of genuine story writing, in terms of the way the script is
you
meant
mean
to feel.
the Watsonian thing. Have you heard about that?
Probably.
There's the Doyleist and the Watsonian. So the Doyleist thing, the Doyleist, yeah. So if you got a problem in a story, the Doyleist answer is like, for example, in this case, they hadn't written the prequels yet, so they didn't know they were
Yeah.
establishing a plot hole, and Obi-Wan obviously doesn't recognize or have anything
Yeah,
to
yeah.
do with R2 because R2 is just a droid. The Watsonian, i.e., as in John Watson, in
Yeah.
universe explanation is he's an alcoholic.
Yeah, I think the Watsonian explanation is that it's an indication of how old he is and how long ago it was that
Yeah.
he has forgotten owning this droid. But obviously, the real answer is it wasn't written.
Yeah.
Right?
Yeah.
And I feel like that's probably the case here, but it does answer the question. Why doesn't Yoda recognize R2? Watsonian answer, because he does, he's just fucking about.
Yeah.
And R2 probably does, and he can't translate it to Luke because Luke doesn't quite understand
Yeah.
it unless he's got a computer screen in between him.
I like how Yoda makes a point of saying he's been watching Luke all his life, and Luke is just a constant disappointment to him.
Yeah, yeah. I saw some similarities between the reveal of Obi-Wan and Yoda here
Mm.
because it was effectively, it's differently worded, but it is the same sort of situation. Is that Yoda could have very easily said, "Well, of course I know him. He's me."
Mm.
Because it's literally the same fucking thing, isn't it? Is this bloke he's looking for?
Yes.
He's looking for this old bloke, this old brilliant warrior style bloke,
Yes.
and
Happens to
it
bump
turns out he's
into him
talking to him.
and doesn't know it's him. Yeah.
Yeah, same fucking. It happens, and it shouldn't keep happening.
I
But it's twice now, and if he had a nickel,
I thought about that when Luke Obi-Wan tells him to go to the Dagobah system, which presumably comprises multiple planets, I guess, but probably only has the one, and find this Jedi Master, and he happens to land right outside his house. And I thought about that and was
spooky,
like, that's very coincidental, almost lazy.
This is the Force working in mysterious
yeah,
ways.
it's the Force guiding him there. Okay, fine, that works for me.
It's the same way that the Force that Han was able to find Luke, right?
Yeah.
Speaking of, did he get to the first marker? Han. Because he gets told that his tauntaun's going to freeze before he gets to the first marker. And I can't help but wonder if he surpassed it or if that bloke was right.
I have no idea.
I don't know either, but I am curious about it.
I do like.
And there's a lot of. Sorry, go on.
You go on.
It's not important.
There's a lot of what?
No, we'll come back to it later.
All right. I just want to quickly revisit the Yoda stuff and just talk about how great the Force talk is in that, because it's both very spiritual and it's really just about emotional and mental well-being. You know, letting go of things like bitterness and anger and jealousy, and remaining calm and living in the moment. There's a lot of Buddhist type stuff with it.
Yeah.
I really liked all of that stuff with Yoda. Great puppet as well.
Oh yeah, no, very good at passing off the ominous look. For example, when it is very emotive.
Yes.
A very emotive puppet.
Yes.
And one of the pictures I sent actually was halfway through the "You will be" line.
Yeah.
Because it is again fucking. Whew. Yeah. Yes. I'm just looking how many planets are in the Dagobah system, but it's playing up for me.
104.
Various planets within the system. Okay, so you've got Ness, Ness, Dagobah, Undar, Bubok, and Sty, plus 61 moons.
Right, that's bloody lucky, isn't it?
One of them has got 55 moons.
Was Luke gonna check out all of them?
Well, I mean, he must be scanning something, right?
I mean, he says there's life on this planet.
Yeah,
so
I don't know.
Without
going through every single one, I don't know that they haven't all got.
I don't know. It's a minor thing, and you can't have him. I mean, yeah, you've just got to have him. I don't know whether there's a line in there about saying this is the only planet with life on it or something like that. I don't know.
The various planets within the system, including Dagobah itself, included biting insects. It's made carrying all-purpose antihistamine tablets and topical ointment during trips to the system. Strongly recommend.
Right.
That's from Wikipedia.
Well.
So,
Well, Wikipedia didn't
I'm
exist at the time, so
I just and the other planets wouldn't have been written about. We didn't have names back
that's
then.
true.
It was just this is a star system. Go to it. And
Yeah,
the trouble is, we keep having planets named after star systems, don't we?
yeah.
Like they're on Hoth, but actually it's the Hoth system. They're on the
Mm,
sixth planet of the Hoth system.
mm.
You know, we call it Endor, but it's not. It's the forest moon of Endor.
Yes, there's a lot of that in Star Wars.
You know, it does keep happening.
A lot of Frankenstein monster type things.
Yeah,
Um,
it's just bad writing, but that's fine.
yeah,
I can get over it. It's
well,
just the thing.
I'm fine with it on the whole.
No,
Really,
what would we call this the solar system because it's named after the sun, not because it's named after a planet that's got all the life on
yeah,
it, right? That's
yeah.
just
Well,
if this was
yeah,
the Earth system, then so be it,
yeah.
right?
I guess we call it the Milky Way. I don't know.
No, that's the galaxy. That's
Yeah,
a lot, isn't it?
that's the chocolate bar too. Um, yes,
We saw the Emperor.
we did see the Emperor. I was going to
We
mention that
saw
before. Yeah.
we saw visually updated Emperor rather than original Emperor.
Well, that's another thing I actually want to talk about.
Okay.
I do like seeing the Emperor, and it's nice seeing McDermott again. I think, you know how much I fucking hated all the special effect editions made after the fact in A New Hope.
Yeah.
I don't really have any problems here, like
No,
at
I
all.
think I feel bad for for two specific people.
Mm.
They are the person. I think it was a woman, wasn't it, who
Yeah,
originally played the Emperor,
yeah.
along with a chimp.
All right.
And then I think that's what they did was they had an old woman and a chimp, and they merged the
Yeah,
footage together. And then the second is the original actor for Boba Fett, whose lines have been
yeah.
replaced in this version by Tamara
Yeah,
Morrison.
I did think that can't be. That's obviously not the original actor. Um,
Yeah, no, that's Tamara Morrison in
yeah,
there.
that's fair. I
It's
mean,
not so noticeable the first time he speaks, but when he
yeah,
just he's no good to me dead sort of thing,
yeah.
it's a lot easier to tell it's him.
I'll have to look into that and see what they sound like. But one of the things I noted with some surprise is all those scenes with the
Mm.
Tauntauns.
Yeah,
They're all in stop motion.
are they?
Yeah, I looked and
Okay.
played close attention when they're running and like a long shot or a distant
Mm.
shot, a wide shot even. They're all in stop motion, and I thought I
Mm.
would have bet good money on George Lucas updating those, but I'm pretty sure he didn't.
He probably didn't look as good if he did.
Yeah,
You know,
it's
I know he doesn't necessarily care,
mm,
but if he's put all the time and money into making that shot look that way originally,
yeah.
it might not necessarily be something he wants to fix.
Maybe it was a
Quote unquote.
specific creative decision he was very pleased with at the time, and he wasn't just exploiting the most widely available technology. I don't know, but
Yeah.
I didn't find myself going, for fuck's sake, stop adding shit in here. I mean, there's a bit in Cloud City where
Mm.
there's a scene that clearly was added on later, and you really could have done without, where it's just gliding around the city for a bit. Um,
Mm.
uh,
But it is quite a pretty city.
yeah. Um.
You know, I was thinking that's one of the places I think I'd be quite
Yeah.
happy living.
Yeah. I guess.
Think of the sunsets.
Well, I feel like it's one of those places where the rich live really good lives, and then there's like an underclass of miners.
Yeah, but I'm not an Ugnaught, so it doesn't matter.
Um, can we talk about the ending to this film?
We can. Yes.
I don't really want to talk about the ending in itself. Just the fact that it didn't end where I always thought it did.
Where did you think it ended?
I assumed they collected Luke, and then went back to the rebel thing, and then it ended with them at the window. That it skipped out that last little bit of the Empire, almost having them, and then just getting to light speed.
Oh, okay.
I don't recall that being in it, and honestly, I don't think it's needed.
I do remember it always having been there, but that's fine because it's such a weird thing, isn't it? Anyway,
Yeah.
it doesn't make sense that scene anyway
Mm.
because they're almost in range of our tractor beams, and then they literally fly right alongside the ship,
Yeah.
and then when they're much further away, they're about to get tractor beams.
Yeah.
They're not. It's not a range thing. It must be an angle thing,
Yeah.
right? It's not proximity. It's angle.
Yeah.
So,
We just need.
which is just silly.
Mm.
You'd think a ship of that size would have more than one tractor.
I just think it's like you've had your big climactic thing. You know, now's the time to end it, and it's like, oh no, another little bit that really you don't need.
Well, it's that that final conflict within Luke as to whether he's going to join Vader or not, and
You sort of
I
had
think it's
that.
the allusion to the fact that Leia. He's searched. It's him coming to terms with the fact that Vader is his father, isn't it? Because he stops questioning it. He's like, yeah, okay, fine. I've searched my
Yeah, I
feelings. Yeah,
don't.
it's true.
I,
And the fact that he's communicating, or supposedly communicating with Vader the same way that he was communicating with Leia, is the allusion to the fact that she may be force sensitive as well.
I
She may be the other hope.
I still don't think it's necessary.
That's fine. I don't. I can see why you don't think it's necessary. I can see why they included it.
I have a question. You've just reminded me when they say refer to Leia as the new hope, the other hope.
Well, they don't specify it, sir, but yeah,
Well, yes, but
it's after the fact that
yeah,
that makes sense.
that scene where Yoda and Obi Wan are talking about that,
Hmm.
there Leia is in trouble. We know Leia is going to be in trouble and in difficulty. May
Yeah.
die. Luke's
Hmm.
going to save her. Surely the other hope is in jeopardy too. It's not like the
Well,
other.
you say the trouble is, I don't necessarily think that Obi-Wan and Yoda were being entirely truthful with him about what would happen to Leia. They were specifically. Luke said they'll die if I don't help them, and they say you
You
don't
don't
know
know
that.
that.
And because his involvement didn't change what happened to them, if anything, it endangered them more because they had to turn around and save him,
Mm.
right? And I don't necessarily think I think they knew that Leia wasn't in danger if they could see far enough ahead to see that there was danger in the first place.
Yeah, I don't know. I think it's one of those things where it's the purpose of the scene is meant to show Luke is a good guy who's he's willing to sacrifice himself for his friends and puts their safety ahead of his sort of quest to become a Jedi.
Yeah, it's it's him putting attachment before his training,
Yes, and
which is it's a
remaining a
recurring theme
continuing
in
disappointment
other.
to Yoda.
It's the attachment Jedi thing is a recurring theme throughout the series.
Mm,
We see it here. We see it in Anakin as a child.
mm.
We see it in Anakin as a teenager, and we see it in Grogu in The Mandalorian, as well as no doubt others as well.
Yeah,
Right.
I don't really. I think that whole don't get attached thing is really unhealthy.
Well, that's part of what happens when it comes to Grogu in The Mandalorian rejects the Jedi principle and remains for the attachment, much in the same way that Luke did,
What is
and
what
it's Luke who gives him the choice.
what is
So
Grogu attached to? Is he attached to a blankie or something?
no, he's attached to the Mandalorian, and
Ah,
with it, a Beskar chainmail set represents his relationship to the Mandalorian.
well, that's cute.
His space dad, as it were,
Yeah.
his adopted space dad.
Mm.
Can we talk about the bounty hunters?
Yes.
Because obviously we saw Boba Fett in A New Hope. Now, whether I can't, I feel like that was added in.
It was added in.
Personally, I'm sure it felt added in at the time.
I
So that's
what you
fine.
mean Boba Fett specifically to that scene?
Yes.
Yes.
Yeah.
I suspect I did. It's hard to say because I feel like I think it must have been. I think it must have been.
Almost certainly.
Yeah.
Let's be honest. Let's be real about it. It feels like the kind of thing that he would have added in for the sake of foreshadowing.
Boba Fett is
Right.
popular. The
Let's
fans will
add
go
more.
crazy about this. Let's stick Boba Fett into this pointless scene.
Yeah, exactly.
Oh.
But my personal favourite of the bounty hunters there. Can you guess?
Well, you've got Bosk.
Bosk, the lizard guy. Yeah.
You've got IG-88.
Mm-hmm.
Um,
The robot guy.
you've got Miles and
I don't know. I don't know who Miles is. Are you just
Felicity.
picking names?
I don't fucking know.
You got Dengar, Forlom, all sorts of different ones there. I think there's 8 bounty hunters in the grand scheme of things.
Mm-hmm.
The best I would say, the one that I've always thought is the coolest was IG-88.
Yeah.
Like, how fucking badass does that droid look?
He
And
does.
it's a shame that you never. Like, do you know any of the extended stuff about IG-88?
I think he's one of a line, isn't he?
Yeah, there's like a half dozen or so of them. He's one of two that we see in this film.
Right.
But one of the things that happens to an IG-88 model is that they end up actually in control of the Death Star 2's computers
Right.
and fuck about with the doors. And if it wasn't for a rebel attack on the second Death Star, they'd have probably successfully wiped out non-robot life in the galaxy. It's like a ridiculous fucking thing, and it's a pointless element of extended fiction, but it's stuck with me. It's this
Right.
ridiculous thing because there's this thing that I remember, and I've not witnessed it firsthand, but I distinctly remember reading about how at one point he was just fucking with the doors to piss the Emperor off,
Right.
and that's such a petty thing, and it's stuck with me and it stuck with me.
Hmm.
Anyway, yeah, IG-88, love him.
Yeah. Well, yeah, I like that scene well enough. I guess it's good to see cool looking characters. I guess each with their own backstory. Bounty
One of the
hunting.
things that Star Wars I think needs more of at this point in the series, and that makes this scene such an important one for me, is it's all very human centric.
Mm.
Okay, I mean, in fact, with the exception of the droids and the bounty hunters, I don't think there's any non-human sentient life in this film.
Mm.
Because I don't count the Wampa, I don't count the Tauntauns. The Ugnaughts, that's it. We see the Ugnaughts, and that's about it.
Yeah. Yeah.
There's just not enough alien in this completely distant
Mm.
galaxy.
Well, speaking of droids,
Hmm?
I found C-3PO to be an annoying prick.
Yeah, he is. I remembered how last week I sort of said that you were basically the C3PO to my R2D2.
You
And
stand
I
by
stand by it.
that? Well, I watched it and I remembered what I said last time about New Hope about lots of humor coming naturally from various different characters, and there's less humor. It feels like in this film. Obviously, Yoda's quite funny, and then a few jokes here and there, and Han and Leia and whatever.
C3PO's role in this film is to be the annoyance.
There's less humor because of it's a darker tone. The stakes are higher, and I
Mm-hmm.
watched C-3PO doing his thing, and I thought I'm getting Jar Jar vibes.
Yeah,
I'm getting
yeah,
vibes of a
that's,
character we're making the funny one, but he's just annoying.
yeah, he is
You were meant
for
to
everyone
find
involved.
C-3PO kind of amusing in those scenes. I didn't. I was very much in the hand seat of going, just fuck off back to the chess table, sit down and shut up.
Yeah, when he's stood there with his one leg, and he's like, "Oh, you've not finished fixing me." It's meant to be funny, but it's just annoying.
He's also annoying in the scene when Han is frozen in carbonite. They give him little
Yeah,
lines and things to say there, and it's like,
Chewbacca, turn around, I can't see.
yes,
Like, fuck
it's
off,
like, stop it!
C3PO.
You are ruining. This is taking away from the tone of this. Just don't make C-3PO say anything.
There's this bit in, and I think it might be because of the relationship that he has with the characters in question.
Mm-hmm.
But in A New Hope, Luke tells him to shut up, and his reaction is "shutting up, sir." Yeah, when he does obviously shut up,
Mm.
but when everyone else tells him to shut up, he doesn't quite do it. And I wonder if that's part of his programming. Is that as far as he's concerned, he belongs to Luke,
Luke is his master. If
and so
Luke tells
Luke
him to
has
shut
the
up,
right to tell him to shut up, but
yeah,
no one else does.
yeah,
I'm just curious. It might be this.
maybe.
Is there something I've literally just thought of now? That might be.
I did just. There was a moment where I just went, "Oh fuck, this is Jar Jar." This didn't,
Yeah.
that attitude to this sort of thing didn't start with Jar Jar himself. But even though George Lucas didn't write it, he still had the story. I don't know whether I don't know, but Jar Jar or C-3PO, I found annoying
He'll have been involved in the process somewhere
for
along the
large
lines to
parts of this. Yeah, he didn't direct it. He didn't, but the story is his. So he told them basically what was going to happen and the beats and various things he needed in there.
yeah.
Um, yeah,
Um, I just before we move on to the big bit,
yeah.
uh, I I feel bad for one particular character,
I wonder if I can
sentient human
guess who this
character.
is.
Oh, that's what I want to know. Can you guess who it is?
Um, is it the guy in Hoth who sits behind Luke and says he feels like he could take on the Empire single-handedly and then dies and then is left and his body is crushed?
dies because of a technical fault. No, that's Dak. I do, but I did not to the point of making a point of it. Like I
um,
feel bad for him, but not as bad enough to make a point about it.
I don't know who.
Captain Needa.
Which one is he?
Captain Needa's the one who's in charge of the Imperial Star Destroyer Avenger, which is the one that the Falcon clings onto.
Yes, I liked that scene because it played into the whole Darth Vader is pissed off and working for him is not easy because he's very bitter about having been one pulled over him.
Yeah. Mm.
I like
Well,
that.
he got a Super Star Destroyer out of it. What's he
Well,
complaining
well, I
about?
like that Captain Needa says I will take full responsibility for this because
Yeah.
everybody in that room knows what is going to happen.
Yeah.
It's like it's all
And
right. I
I
will
feel bad
take
for
the
him
hit
because
for this.
it's not his fault in any capacity. It's not his fault that the ship disappeared off the scanner because the scanner doesn't detect things that are latched onto it. It's as simple as that. It's a design flaw with the ships that they're working on, and he's died for it. And I feel bad about that.
Eh.
You know, I feel bad for him. He's a bad guy, right?
He's a
He's
fascist.
working on the wrong team, but you know.
Yeah.
But speaking of being on the Empire side and working for the wrong team, are you familiar with the semi popular rebel spy
Is
theory?
this the thing that Admiral Ozzel was actually doing his bit to help the rebellion out
Yeah.
by coming too fast?
Well, not
See.
just that, but the trying to downplay the presence of human
Mm.
life on Hoth as well.
Yeah.
It all sort of. I've never really subscribed to it before, but
I
seeing it again and seeing both of those two things added together, I feel more inclined to headcanon agree with it.
I was aware of the theory. Watching it,
Mm.
I didn't come away with an idea that he was a rebel spy, but I felt he might have some sympathies. And there was some
Yeah.
reluctance on his part, and he was having some sort of crisis of, a moral crisis about what he was doing, and maybe on a subconscious level,
Hmm.
you know. So I buy it to that extent. Yeah.
Yeah.
Did you know Grand Maester Pycelle?
Yeah, but we talked about him before, didn't we?
Yes, it's what's his face in it?
Hmm.
Yeah, it'll come to me.
Julian Glover.
Yes,
Yeah.
told you it'd come
He
to me.
blows up. He blows up the shield generator, doesn't
Yes, he does. He's very successful. He does exactly what what he wanted to do, what he set out to do. So yeah.
he? He's one of a few who successfully does. That's a point. You got to wonder how much Piet was bricking it when Falcon got away.
Yes.
Unless, of course, it's assumed that Darth Vader was in command of the vessel at the time, in
Mm.
which case Piet's not in any way responsible for that.
Yeah. I mean, Darth Vader seems like the sort of guy who would probably lash out anyway.
I know, but you got to wonder how. We know he survives to the next one because he's.
I was going to say, is he the guy on the Executor when it crashes? Do we see this guy again?
Yeah, I'm pretty sure he's. There's that bit where the fleet is standing there and watching the rebels attack the Death Star, and he's we're not to engage. The Emperor has a special treat planned for us, or something like that. I think that's
Yeah.
the line. Something like that.
Well, we'll get to it, but yeah.
He's effectively in charge of the fleet at that point, I think.
Yeah.
But, which is fair enough.
I noted
You
a
gotta
bit.
respect him.
I noted for the first time really serious Anglophobia in play because we cut
Mm.
from the bridge of the Executor to Echo Base, and all the Imperials are British, or the vast majority of them are. I think there was one American in
Yeah.
there, and all the rebels are gung ho Americans ready to take on the day. Yeah,
Yeah. Well, you know how they are.
poor us,
But,
poor Brits, poor old Blighty.
I feel bad for Wedge as well. Actually.
Do you?
Yeah, because he's rogue free, despite being, you know, probably the most accomplished pilot there in terms of the rebels.
Yeah.
I know fine, Luke blew up the Death Star, but Luke's aided by the Force, so you got to ignore that. You got to discount him. He's like Greek the Spider Eater. You can't count his results because they're anomalous.
Mm.
You know.
Yeah, I don't think that's
So
entirely fair.
so I feel like Wedge should at least be rogue too.
Maybe.
I know it's only one number, and it probably doesn't mean an awful lot, but it matters. It feels like it should matter.
Mm.
He's second fiddle again.
Mm.
Third fiddle in this case.
Yeah.
Yeah. I don't know. I don't like it.
Mm.
The bit where we get Darth Vader's reveal that he's on Cloud City.
Yes.
We would be honoured if you joined us.
Yes.
And then Boba Fett steps out from behind a column.
Mate, what do you think he was talking to Boba Fett? Like Boba Fett had
Well,
been like hiding behind the column, being like, you know what, I'm not really a party person. Darth Vader's like, nah, come on, it'll be fun. And then
it's certainly an option
they open the
for
door at the
interpreting.
they open the door at the moment when he says we would be honoured if you join us. And it's like, oh no, I wasn't talking to you. I was talking to Boba Fett.
But like the fact that Boba Fett steps out when the big reveal there is Darth Vader's there, right?
Yeah.
What, having Boba Fett there in the background doesn't change anything. So why have him step out? What's going on there?
Well,
It's
yes,
not.
they don't know Boba Fett from Adam, do they? And Boba Fett,
Well, Handers.
well, I guess technically, but not really, because he wasn't in that scene. But
No. But he was in the one in A New Hope.
yeah, but he wasn't that. Okay, yes, technically, yes, he's seen him before, but that scene wasn't in the original film, and Boba Fett was not even in the original conceived scene.
Okay.
And
Okay. But you have to.
Boba Fett's aims at that point are exactly the same as Darth Vader's. Or Boba Fett is just the guy who led Darth Vader to them. I don't think we know at that point that he wants Han specifically, do we?
We don't necessarily know that, but because we don't know that Vader's there on Cloud City and therefore Boba Fett and everyone else is there as well.
Mm.
But if you have seen both films, at least as the cuts that they are now,
Yeah.
it would be reasonable to potentially assume that Boba Fett has an inkling to get Han as well. What with the death mark that's been mentioned earlier, and
Yeah.
us knowing that Boba Fett has worked for and with Jacob Deborah. You got to do a bit of reaching, and it just rely on the current cuts available. But you got to remember that's what we're working with, right?
I know. I think I agree with your point. I think maybe Boba Fett should just have been standing behind Darth Vader.
Yeah.
Because it's a reveal that doesn't really have a purpose. It's like, oh god, it's Boba Fett too. That's really bad.
I mean, Christ, at that point he hasn't even got a name.
I guess it's a reveal for the audience. I don't really know what it's a reveal for.
This is how they found us. But if the fact that we saw him following the Falcon after they detached from the thing, that's a clever move on his part. Let's be honest.
The audience already know this.
Yeah.
Was that scene added later? I don't know.
What, Boba Fett following?
Yeah.
I don't feel like it was. I'm sure. You got to remember, a lot of his versions came out around the time we were born, and then a few years after we were born, and then again after that when the DVD releases were done. And trying to remember which versions we've seen at what point is very difficult.
Well, it's
so I don't ever remember it not being the case. It doesn't mean that it wasn't not the case.
It's practically impossible to find the original films anyway, so there's a good chance we'll just never really know. I mean, we could Google it, but who cares?
It's not worth. Yeah. Do you know what his ship's called as well?
Oh shit, I do know. I look at it and think, I don't know why people think that thing looks so cool. It looks so fucking cumbersome.
Boba Fett's ship.
Yeah, I do know. I can't remember. Go on.
Oh well, do you want the original name?
Slave One. Slave One. It's Slave One.
Not anymore. Not anymore. It's not.
What?
You're living in the past, man.
Why isn't it called Slave?
Because of the connotations of the word slave, it's actually called fire spray now.
Oh, for fuck's sake!
After the fact that it's a fire spray 31 class patrol and attack craft.
Fuck off!
I looked it up because I wanted to talk about the fact.
No sensible person on the left was advocating for Boba Fett's name to. Boba Fett is a bad guy. We can assume he is probably running slaves at some point.
Absolutely, but yeah, they've changed.
Fuck off! I hate Star Wars. I hate it so much.
Oh, then you'll hate the fact that there's a character in there called Wilro Hood who's only famous for one thing.
What?
Carrying an 80s or late 70s, early 80s ice cream maker as his part of his evacuation from Cloud City.
I think it's one of those many things that I might have. I'm
going to get you a picture of Wilro Hood, and you'll be like, "Oh my god, why is there a character? Why is that a thing?
Why did he have a fucking name?"
Because everything Star Wars gets a name, right? That's how it works, Ben. That is Wilro Hood, and I kept an eye out for him. That thing he's carrying is an ice cream maker.
I have seen that. It looks sci-fi enough.
Well, that's the thing. It has since been used as a type of container in other media.
When you
I
say
can't remember
other
what
me,
special
when you say other media, is this other science fiction from the era that isn't Star Wars because it's the sort of thing that
other
was
Star Wars
as a
content.
deliberate nod?
And well, no, I mean whether it's as a deliberate nod or because that's what it is in universe.
It's a deliberate nod. I'll tell you what happened. They gave the actor an ice cream thing. The props crew had one. It looks, if you hold it a certain way, it looks sort of sci-fi. They said nobody will notice. People noticed. Further down the line,
Yeah,
they went, "We'll give a nod because Star Wars is." There's a lot of Star Wars fans, people from the community working on Star Wars projects. You know, recent years or these days, and they deliberately put that in there as a nod. That's what happened.
he's got a whole bloody backstory to it. I'm sure
Oh,
I listened to it as part of the those those audiobooks.
yeah.
The yeah the from a certain point of view stuff. He's got a story in that,
Is
and
he
it's ridiculous.
is he an ice cream maker who fell through time and space?
No, the it's called a camtono for container. That's what they call. No, I'm pretty sure it's him trying to get that as part of some. If I can steal this thing, I'll make loads of money and be able to leave Cloud City and all that kind of crap. I
I
think that's the
I
case.
I want you to know. I know we joke
Yeah.
about this, and it's not your fault.
Hmm.
I genuinely hate this shit.
I know.
I genuinely hate it.
The Camtona was a cylindrical box containing a fixed frame, three movable panels hinged at the bottom and locked shut at the top, and a lid part.
Who
So
gives a
that's
shit?
what it is. That's what
Why?
the
Why? Okay.
I know. I'm just it's this is the stuff that happens with Star Wars. Some silly little thing happens, and then it ends up becoming this massively. People latch onto it and
I
expand it for
know.
no real necessary reason.
It's
It's
because
just a thing that happens.
I mean the films were so huge and the toys made so much money and it was such a cultural phenomenon. It makes sense that people are writing books and looking into this stuff, and that's how a fictional universe expands to the extent that the Star Wars universe expanded because it was just so fucking big, and people want more
Yeah.
of it.
Oh yeah.
But I do just look at it and think, do we need to give this guy? Do we really need lore on this?
Willow Hood.
Do we really? Is that really important? Do we need that? Was that worth the fucking paper, the
No,
print?
no, it's not. But here's the important thing, and I think it's worth you remembering. Part of the less so now, more so in the sequel trilogy.
Mm,
Part of the overarching story of Star Wars is that supposedly ordinary people
mm,
have massive parts to play in the universe at large, whether they know it or not.
okay.
End of statement.
Okay. Well, thank you, Wilro Hood, for your contribution to the stability of the galaxy. Thank you for playing your part.
Yeah. Hooray!
Fuck me.
Um, shall we get on to the big bit?
Oh, is this the I am your father?
Yes.
That's a good fight.
Yeah, I made a point here that it's the first proper lightsaber fight we see,
Yeah.
even if Vader is just sort of toying with him a bit.
I assumed that the lightsaber fights in the original trilogy were obviously limited by, the age that they came out. But I mean, A New Hope had obviously less of a budget,
Yep.
and I guess people were really into as well they would be into the lightsaber fight aspect of things. So they thought, let's give them a proper lightsaber fight. And
I've seen it argued that the whole point of a lightsaber fight was so that they can have a conversation in A New Hope.
mm,
Whereas this is an actual fight,
yeah,
but again, a fairly one-sided fight because Vader's not really trying to kill him, is he? He's trying to.
he's
If he'd been trying to kill him, he'd be dead.
he could kill him.
Simple as
Yeah,
that.
he's
And then
yeah,
the fight that we have in Return of the Jedi is an actual to the death fight.
yeah, yeah.
So
I
you know,
yes, it's a good fight, as you say. Vader's just sort of feeling him out and trying to get him to really fucking go for it and slip into the dark side a little bit more
so
and
that he can be manipulated
and
into
spend some
helping
quality
him rule
time
the
with his
galaxy.
boy.
Yeah, but they're going to stop having quality time if they do take over the galaxy together because that's a lot of administration. They're
It
not going to
is,
have time for each other.
it is, and yeah, it's difficult. Like Eddie Stobart and his son.
Yeah, I like the robot chicken thing where they joke that actually Luke is going to join them and then he slips and falls
Well,
because he's got visions of playing ball and hanging out together and all that
yeah,
kind of stuff. I mean, he just slips and falls.
yeah,
Um, but I would be less inclined to join someone who's just cut my fucking hand off, personally.
yeah. But that thing can be
Um,
patched up fairly easy.
well, as we see at the end, yeah. But I tried to get the shot where his hand is literally flying off. I don't know how well that. Yeah, that worked. Oh,
Yeah,
that's good.
that was fine. I will be honest with you. There are a lot of photos, and it is a fucking nightmare getting all of these in there.
Well, I do what you want. I wanted to have options. I know how long it took last time for us to get through the fucking conversation. So
I'll take 5 or something.
Jesus, take more than that. It took me ages to get all them.
I'll take 6.
Take 10.
Yeah,
It can't be that hard to get 10 bloody pictures in. Jesus.
yeah.
You see how long the video is, divide it by 10 and put a picture in for each of the 10
All right,
sections.
okay, all right.
Fucking hell.
Of course, if I was doing this properly, I would edit footage alongside, as it's relevant.
Well, that's, you know.
But that's a fucking ball ache, and I ain't doing that.
Yeah, well, yeah, you obviously don't care enough.
Yeah,
Um,
it's a good reveal. I briefly entertained the notion of trying to put myself in the headspace where I didn't know that, but
impossible.
it's
Let's be
impossible
honest.
because it's like the most famous reveal in not just cinematic
Definitely
history,
in sci-fi, at
maybe
least.
certainly cinematic history, maybe even all of fiction.
Well, you say, I mean, I don't know. It's probably the first one that people have come to mind, but whether it's more famous than, say, the one at the end of Psycho or
Yeah, it is.
you know, I mean, I just you can dismiss it all you like, but
I
you got to think there's a lot of fucking cinema.
I think
It's probably up there at the very least. Whether it is the most famous,
the
I don't
giveaway
know.
is that it's so famous as a reveal that people sort of forget that it's a reveal, right?
Do they?
It's an established fact. Really, throughout, I think I would say that it's the most famous reveal in cinema history.
I don't think people forget that it's a reveal. Personally, I think that's a fallacy. I think you're wrong.
I don't.
Because the whole fucking point is that it's a reveal. Like that's what the line is. The whole fucking line
Well,
is that.
I don't think people specifically forget that scene, and that there's a moment where Darth Vader tells Lucas he's his father, or even that this isn't something Luke knew all the way through. But I think I don't know. I just think it transcends that moment and because Star Wars is so fucking big. It's just it is. It's the biggest reveal in cinema history. I don't think anything can come close, to be honest with you. But I appreciate we disagree on that. Um, yeah,
Mm.
yeah.
What was Luke expecting when he dropped down?
Death.
Well, you've got to assume so, haven't you?
Yeah,
Because like he wasn't surely wasn't expecting to end up going 90 degrees and slipping into a tube,
that was his.
getting slurped out.
I would rather die than join you.
That's what I take from it as well. And obviously he fucked that up, didn't he? Oh shit, I'm still alive. Where's my
Yeah.
hand? Is it here?
No, I'm gonna freeze
What
to
happened to my
death.
lightsaber?
It started as he finished, freezing to death.
Oh yeah. How many sunsets are there on Bespin? Do we know?
Oh, I don't know. Why don't you read the expanded universe novel about Wilfred Hood or whatever the fuck his name is?
It's Wilvo Hood, and actually that doesn't feature because I have already heard that story. Thank you. How many planets in the Bespin system? Oh, sorry, how many suns in the Bespin system? How many suns in the Bespin system? One sun.
Right. Which means we couldn't be fucked to think about it and do anything. Fuck it, yeah, it's one,
Right.
it's normal.
Well, I mean, you can't have all of them be binary, can you? Let's be honest. That's just devalue the whole thing.
Can we talk about Lando
But
Cardassian?
I do wish you would just fucking
Lando Calrissian.
remember people's names. It's so disrespectful. I know you do it as a joke, but it's just so disrespectful.
Sorry,
You
Lando.
know?
Sorry if you're watching, Lando Calrissian.
Billy D. Williams.
Yeah.
Lando's not going to be watching. He's a fucking fictional character, but Billy D. Williams might, as
Yes,
unlikely as it is.
Lando Calrissian. I appreciate why he made the decision he made.
I do. I think he's got the smoothest voice in the trilogy as
Yes, I could listen to him say, "Hello, what have we here?" over and over again. It's great.
well. Because you feel like he'd be flirting with you.
Well, no, I
Sort
just
of like when everyone heard Tom Hardy do that bedtime story on CBBC, and it was like, or CBBS, and it was like, right now, off to bed, you,
no,
and I'll be up there shortly.
no, I just like the way he says it.
Fair enough.
Yes,
Good indeed,
I
Williams.
appreciate why he made.
He's still alive, isn't he?
Yes, I appreciate why he made that decision.
He's 87 years old. Jesus.
Gosh, yeah.
Wow.
You got much more to say? Because I think I'm out.
Um. Uh, Not much, I don't think. Oh, yeah. There's a few famous lines from this film, obviously.
Yes.
We've already gone over one of the biggest
Yeah.
cinematic lines.
Scruffy looking nerf herder. I'd
You know,
sooner kiss a Wookiee. Although, I'd sooner kiss a Wookiee.
Do or do not, there is no try.
Yes.
I love you, I know.
That's a great one.
Search your feelings and you'll
it.
know it to be true, which we have twice
Yeah.
in the film.
Mm-hmm.
I'd always forgotten about the Emperor saying it to Vader.
Mm.
And then Vader saying it to... It's just... It's an indication at that point that he's sort of puppeting the Emperor still. Even if the implication of we'll rule the galaxy as father and son is that the Emperor gets taken out of the equation.
Yeah.
Right?
Yeah.
And a personal favourite of mine is... I am altering the deal, pray I don't alter it any further.
Yes.
It was always sort of stuck with me.
Yeah.
Did I write any others? Our first catch of the day
Yes.
is one that I quite like as well.
You don't fish.
You often quote about I thought they smelled bad
on the outside. I'll see you in hell. Yes.
Yeah. Your tauntaun will freeze before you make it to the first marker.
Then I'll see you in hell.
But, you see, that's the thing I thought, but there's not. There's more going on.
What?
There's more in that gap, and it's like weird because as far as I'm concerned, they're meant to be lying next to each other, but they're not.
So is hell canonical? Oh, that's a rhetorical
It's a
question.
translation, isn't it?
Well, yes, I know. I'm pissing.
The whole thing's a translation. So
yeah.
The real issue is why an X-wing called an X-wing, considering the equivalent letter that we have for the letter the equivalent letter they have for the letter X is not X-shaped.
It's a sci-fi movie for kids.
Yeah, with hands getting chopped off and heads getting chopped off.
Yeah.
As well, we get a head chopped off in this one.
Yes, I forgot to mention the scene in the cave, which is great. Lots of snakes on Dagobah.
Yeah, I was thinking that they probably blew the reptile budget on that one.
We can probably assume it's a space snake.
Yeah, and there's a Komodo dragon as well. They look like a Komodo dragon.
It's not a Komodo dragon. It'll be a Gila monster or something.
No, it looked like a Komodo dragon.
Yeah, a lizard.
Yeah, but you know.
Yeah.
There was one line that stuck with me that I wanted to question.
Yeah.
And I wonder if in retrospect, if you consider the wider universe, whether it's a nod to the fact that Padme is Leia's mother. C-3PO asks, how are we going to dry out all her clothes? Of Leia and her clothes, because she hasn't got the heating working.
What? Am I dreaming? What are you talking about?
Okay, right near the start, when they're on Hoth, C-3PO it makes a point of the fact that Leia's room where she's sleeping doesn't have the heating working properly.
All right.
And he says, how are we going to dry out all her clothes? Right. Suggesting to me that she's got a fair few clothes.
Yeah, she has a wardrobe.
And obviously
the
Padme...
Queen's wardrobe, yeah.
Padme is famous for having a whole bunch of outfits. And I just wonder if retroactively there's a connection there. Obviously, not to the point of kind of caring. I made a point of Leia's kind of hot in this one.
Yeah.
Just saying, never really saw it in A New Hope. I see it in this one.
Yeah.
We get the awkward kiss between Han and Leia.
He's pretty forceful.
He is a bit, but like she had an opportunity to stop it, and I think it's part of a established flirtation between them. But she does want it, but she doesn't want to admit it.
There's been time in between films. We can assume there was some. I mean, he's flirting with her in a way at the beginning of that film that indicates there is something there that we haven't seen.
They've probably shagged.
I think we can assume Well, Carrie Fisher and Harrison Ford did. I think
Well, exactly.
we can probably assume that he knows the situation well enough to sort of know how he's feeling. You know.
There's the banter between them, isn't there? And he refers to Lando as a smuggler, a scoundrel. You'll like him,
Mm,
because obviously she got a whole thing about Han being a scoundrel and how she likes scoundrels. And
mm.
so yeah, how long do you reckon a one-armed Wampa can survive on Hoth?
Um, I don't know. I mean, it
A
probably
week. Anyway,
is that established? Is that
no,
canon?
I don't. It might well be. I don't know.
Is there a fucking Wampa's Diary book?
I think there is a story from a perspective of a Wampa in that same audiobook I listened to before,
I,
but I can't remember it. There's one from a fucking perspective of the Tauntauns.
you know,
Because the Tauntaun that Han rides, as long as that audiobook is canon, which I think they are,
did I
the
have a
Tauntaun that
mate or
Han's
something?
ride is the mother of the one that
Yeah.
Luke was um, Luke was on.
I when I
Yeah,
watched
it's
that
fucking
scene, the thing that occurred to me was if I was in Luke's position, I would leave the cave, take one look around me, see that night was coming in, go back in the cave, kill the Wampa, spend the night there.
hmm.
You know,
But we don't know how far. Yeah, okay, maybe.
because you don't know where the fuck you are.
No,
Night is coming. It's gonna get fucking freezing.
we have
He
to assume that Luke's a bit delirious because
he
he's
would
been
have,
knocked out.
yeah, probably. It's probably he's been attacked. He's been in an incredibly terrifying, stressful situation. He's in flight or fight, and he's done his fight, but he's getting the fuck out of there. He just wants to run, get
Yeah,
away from the thing that was threatening us. Great
actually,
great sound design on the Wampa eating. By the way, I really liked the
yeah,
noises it made. I thought that was really good.
yeah, that's fair enough. I'm assuming you know what Rogue Squadron is named after.
Rogue from the X Men.
Ah, how did you guess that? I was thinking you'd fall for my trap, and no,
Is
it
it?
was named after Rogue One.
Of course.
Actively or retroactively, I'm not sure, but yeah, that's what Rogue Squadron is named after. Is the group that is,
Mm,
Rogue One.
mm.
We've got when they flew the battle that we've got on Hoth. It's such a ridiculous tactic, one of many that we see in this series.
Mm.
For the speeders to be flying towards the front of the AT-ATs.
That's
What
fair.
ridiculous fucking thing to do.
I also thought when they were sending the ships out of away from Hoth,
Yeah.
why did they go directly up and through the Empire's lines?
Well, we know that the Empire supposedly spread out.
All right, fair enough. Okay, that explains that.
Um,
Didn't look
I
like
mean, it
it.
looks like an awful lot of space where they're not. I mean, a
Yeah,
blockade can only do so much, right?
from what I saw, it looked like they were just they just had the one ship or the few ships in the one place, and if you took the ship and sort of went round the planet a bit and went off the other side, you'd have probably done a
Well,
lot better.
they're told to deploy the fleet so that nothing can leave the system. I think is the
All right.
so they're spread out a bit. So I would say, yeah, you're absolutely right that they can probably just evade them if they wanted to.
Hmm.
But maybe it's to lull them into the false sense of security with the ion cannon.
I don't know.
But it seems flawed. I'll give you that.
I don't know. I'll just pretend that was the only way they could go. It's fine.
Thinking about the Imperial Navy, I quite like the fact that we saw quite so much of the Imperial Navy
Yes, that was nice.
because we didn't.
I like the
Like,
introduction of the executor scene where the shadow comes over the Star Destroyer, which we've seen in A New Hope and Noah Massive, and here's something that
oh yeah,
dwarfs them. So yeah,
oh yeah, absolutely. It's like as big as Manhattan or something. The executor is
yeah,
crazy. And I quite like the fact that we saw the one that got destroyed by the Star Destroyer and the hologram disappearing as a result of it. I quite like that.
yes.
It's a nice little
No,
touch.
it didn't. It got hit by an asteroid.
Yeah, what did I say?
I think you're thinking of the one where the ships sort of grind up against each other by accident.
No, no, I'm thinking of the asteroid.
All
What
right.
did I say?
Well, you said when the ship crashed into each other. I think.
No, that's not what I meant. I meant the asteroid because
I,
they're in the
I,
asteroid
I,
field and they're having a
yeah.
chat, aren't they? But,
Hmm.
yeah. I honestly, where's my note? Because I wrote it here somewhere. Oh no, I just put nice touch to see the destroyed Star Destroyer. Never mind. Have I got any other? Any other comments worth mentioning? Lobot doesn't get enough attention, I don't think, or
Yeah.
enough respect, because obviously he's quite involved.
Yeah.
How do you feel about Chewbacca trying to choke Lando out?
Makes
Do you think
sense.
that changed anything?
No.
Do you think maybe if they hadn't spent so long trying to work out what Lando was saying, whether maybe they'd have been able to save Han?
No.
No, I agree. I don't think there was enough time there anyway. But maybe if Lobot had done his job a little bit quicker.
Yeah.
Do notice we get a very fan favourite line from episode 6 in this one.
Do we?
Leia says, "It's a trap."
Yes, I did notice that actually.
And Luke completely ignores it.
I also noted when he suppose he went in with the awareness that it was a trap, so he had his guard up. I guess not that it did anything. I also noticed our I have a bad feeling about this line in the cave.
Yep.
Mouth.
Yeah,
thing.
we have that a few times.
Yeah.
In the series, so that's all right.
R2D2 continues to be cute.
It does bug me a little bit that Vader thought that Luke was still in the carbon freezing machine, despite the fact that Luke had jumped out of the carbon freezing machine.
Mm.
It wasn't until he heard the noise above him that he realised. So that's not very in keeping with being able to sense things with the Force.
Mm.
To me, personally, I feel it bugs me a little bit. It seems like a flaw in Vader's abilities. But it's not really addressed either, is it? He's literally talking about how he was disappointed or he wasn't as powerful as he'd expected him to be or whatever.
Yeah.
And then, oh, actually, oh my god, well done.
Yeah.
I'm so proud of you, son. That's my boy. You know.
Yeah.
So yeah, I think that's me done.
Well, I guess final thoughts.
Oh, I've got one last one.
Okay.
That final shot with looking out the window.
Yes.
What is it they're looking at, Ben?
They're just looking out thoughtfully into space.
No. What is it out the window?
I don't know.
It's a forming star.
All right.
Yeah.
I
get a lot of people thinking that they're outside the galaxy and therefore looking in at the galaxy, but it's not. It's a forming star.
When I saw that scene, I thought, why is there a window there?
Yeah, it's quite a big window, isn't it?
Yes, that's a massive viewing platform in the hospital bay, and it's the only big bit of glass or window in the entire ship.
The thing about the medical frigate is that that design ship is notoriously quite fragile anyway. Because we have it referred to later. It's a Nebulon B frigate, I believe. And they are a bit fragile. What with their sticky bit in the middle and then two longy bit down.
Yeah.
Like that middle is such a weak point in the entire fucking design of that. They're not designed for combat, and that's sort of the kind of way that the Rebels operate anyway, isn't it? So they don't use ships that are designed for combat a lot of the time. The Falcon's not designed for combat, and yet
no, it's not.
It's retrofitted, isn't it?
Yeah.
So yeah, it may be because it's not meant to be a military vessel. It is something that's there, and that's just a room they use for that sort of thing. It might, for all we know, it might be his apartment room on the ship, and he's had the Doctor visit him.
Yeah.
Lando's in Han's clothes.
Is he?
Yeah, at the end, Lando is wearing Han's
Hang
outfit
on.
as they leave.
We don't have a photo of that. We don't have a picture of that, do we? Let me Google that.
No.
I think I knew that from the Family Guy thing, but I'd forgotten about it.
I think the canon is that it's probably originally Lando's wardrobe anyway.
That's really weird.
Yeah, it is, isn't it?
That's really weird.
Yeah.
Okay.
But as you say, already touched upon by Family Guy,
So, during shooting for Empire Strikes Back, the crew didn't know if Harrison Ford would be coming back to finish the trilogy, so they were setting up Lando as potential replacement for Han, which I guess involved him wearing the clothes. In universe, Lando had to abandon his wardrobe.
Yeah. So he stole clothes.
It's still really fucking weird. You don't need to do
but
that.
But the clothes that Han was wearing, I thought.
I don't know. I just
think he's got more than one of that outfit.
I think it's weird.
It is absolutely weird.
Just leave him in what he's wearing. Nobody's going to give a shit. He's been wearing the same thing for like months, and you can give him a new costume in the next film. It's weird.
Yeah. Well. So we've got it's about 3.5 years between A New Hope and Empire Strikes Back. It's about 6 months between Empire Strikes Back and Return of the Jedi. How do you feel about the upcoming 6 months?
What do you mean?
Well, the upcoming 6 months of the Star Wars series. Are you looking forward to Return of the Jedi?
Well, I no. I liked it when I was a
Okay.
kid. I feel like the Jabba stuff goes on too long, and
Yep.
I feel like there's a lot of problems with it. And I have heard it's the weakest of the original three, so we'll see. But what about you?
I have a fondness for Return of the Jedi. I
Mm,
feel like there's a lot going on. I really fucking love the Battle of Endor.
mm,
Like the space battle of Endor. I will sit. There's two space battles. Oh, sorry, no. Let me start again. There's three battles in completely that I will watch just because I want to watch them. They have a space battle over Endor, the space battle from Rogue One, and the lightsaber duel from Phantom Menace. And that's I fucking love the Battle of Endor, the space
mm.
battle of Endor. I love it. It's simple as that. I love it.
Well, what are your finishing thoughts on Empire Strikes Back?
Good film.
Yeah. Well,
Yeah.
I like it. I think it's better than A New Hope. I think the tone is sort of the perfect follow-on from something like A New Hope. I think both main stories are great. I didn't get bored of either. It's
Here's a
good.
question.
Yes.
On that vein, you've already acknowledged earlier that Empire Strikes Back would have had a larger budget to work with.
Yeah.
So, do you feel like the improvement in quality exceeds or matches or falls short of the assumed increase in money available to produce it? In a quality for resource basis, which one do you feel is better?
Uh, I think I don't know. I don't know. I think A New Hope probably did more bang for its buck. I guess. I don't know,
Hmm.
but I wasn't.
This is the only reason I ask this is because I've been talking about the Shrek films a lot this week,
Mm,
funnily enough. And I feel like Shrek 2 is a better film, but if you account for the fact that it had more resources available to it, I feel like Shrek 1 is the better film for the amount of resources available.
yeah.
That's just a thing. And I was wondering what your stance on these would be. So that's fair enough. You don't know. You
Do
don't
you,
know.
do
You
you
don't. You
put
don't have to know everything.
do you prefer this to A New Hope?
I prefer this to A New Hope. Yeah.
I think it's better than A New Hope. Yeah, I do think
Until
it's better.
Rogue One came out, it was my sometimes favourite Star Wars film.
So is that's our ranking so far? Is it Empire Strikes Back and then A New Hope?
I would say so.
Well, let's see if it changes next week.
I mean, I flip flop sometimes between whether I prefer Empire Strikes Back or Phantom Menace, which is blasphemy, I'm sure.
That is blasphemy, Jesus. You.
But I just Phantom Menace. We'll come to it properly, but Phantom Menace it speaks to the inner child within me.
Well, at least you acknowledge it's nostalgia, not necessarily about the quality of the film.
Exactly. It's yeah. As and it's a perfectly valid reason for me to like something more.
We'll get to the prequels when we get to them. But I am disheartened by a lot of people saying, actually, no, the prequels are really good films because of this was George Lucas's intent, even though none of that really comes across on screen. But we'll fucking
There's been a lot of reevaluating the prequels in light of the sequels.
yeah, well, God, I'm not looking
And
forward
I
to
look
that.
forward to seeing whether you reevaluate the prequels after seeing the sequels.
Oh God, why I really shouldn't have agreed to this.
Well, it was your fucking idea,
I
so
know.
well done.
We'll see it
What you should
through.
have done is done them in chronological order, and then
Oof.
we'd be halfway. We'd be looking at Revenge of the Sith, which is probably the better of the original of the prequel. Sorry,
Am I right in saying you hate Attack of the Clones?
I really hate it. There's one maybe two good things in Attack of the Clones, and both of them involve Natalie Portman.
Natalie
Okay,
Portman's midriff, is that one of them?
that's one of them, and the
Mm.
other one is that outfit she wears with the black one when she's not meant to be trying to be sexy at all, but it's quite sexy because she's basically got her tits out.
We'll get to that.
Everyone knows that's a sexy outfit, and she
We'll,
shouldn't be wearing
we'll
it.
get to whether Padme was just a horny politician trying to take advantage and just bored and challenging herself to fuck some, see if she could turn some monk, you know. But we'll get to that.
We will get to that.
But yes, that's us for this week. We'll see you next time.
Bye, everyone. May the force be
Bye.
with you.
Always.